This is Pixelated Audio, episode 136.
Welcome back to Pixelated Audio, a podcast focusing on game audio, its history, and the people behind it. We're your hosts. I'm Brian. This is Gene.
Hey.
We've got a really fun show today for you guys lined up.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about a very, or somewhat obscure game called WonderBorg, or Robot Works, as the actual program is called, and we'll tell you all about that. It's a weird one.
Yeah, it's kind of a game, but it's also kind of not. It was released for the WonderSwan. And this track that brought us in, this was the title theme, and I thought just really bouncy, has a kind of a European vibe to it a little bit, but this was produced in Japan, so we don't have a composer, unfortunately. We fell short there, looked everywhere, so if anyone knows, please, by all means, let us know. But yeah, it's got this really nice, bouncy, fun, engaging track just to bring you right into the experience.
Yeah, we got some nice disco action, preparing people for the high-octane programming action, because that's what this is all about, folks. WonderBorg is a programmable robot.
Yeah. So the WonderBorg, it's a programmable consumer robot kit, first released for the Bandai WonderSwan. And then was later released for Microsoft Windows PCs in 2000. That retailed for about $120, and it was intended to look like this beetle thing. And it has 6 legs, and it has functioning antenna, and you kind of put it together yourself. And the antenna are like sensors. There's light sensor. There's all sorts of stuff that can allow you to interact with the world around it. And so it's actually a pretty cool little thing. I want to get my hands on one.
Yeah, it looks kind of like a really large computer mouse with like antenna and legs.
That's exactly what it looks like. I'm trying to think if there was anything else kind of comparable to it around that time. Nothing I can think of.
We were talking about this a lot. Like there was, like, it didn't look like it, but you had like Lego Mindstorms, which had sort of conditional programming, and then you had all of those like robot toys, like the little dog and the like, you know,
Furby. That was a thing, right?
No, not, well, yeah, they were Furby, but I think it was called Aibo. It was what the one we looked up.
Yeah.
It does like flips and barks and stuff, but it's the same. It was like that time period. Everybody was coming out with programmable robots and stuff.
Well, the parts were getting cheaper, and I think as technology was improving, people were getting more excited about going into that career or that field, and I think kids were getting really excited. I mean, I definitely know I was, and something that was as cheap as $100 or $120 when it was released, and then you could do all this fun stuff with it. Yeah, it's programming, but like at the same time, you can, say like, move to the left, move up 5 spaces, and then like move your feelers or your antenna like a certain way, and then bounce this way. I mean, you could really be creative with it. And the more of these WonderBorgs or beetles that you have, they can actually interact with each other, which is even more cool. So
yeah,
it's
no,
pretty
that's
cool.
super cool. I never had one of these. I didn't even know they existed, but it was definitely a thing. I think middle school, high school, my computers club, I should say, had a lot of these kinds of things, little programmable bots, and it was all the rage for a couple of years, and they were a lot of fun. I played around with it a little bit. I never got super deep during that time, but I feel like I missed out.
They still have like project kits and stuff that you can pick up for this. I mean, I remember like not even that long ago when Fries was still a thing, and you can go in there, and they had like it was kind of like kids learning stuff where it was like, you put together a kit, because I did a lot of kits when I was a kid, but you would put together like like a bug kind of thing too, and you would do all the soldering and everything yourself, and then it would, I don't know, run around. This is a little bit more hands-on though, because you get to put the robot together, and then it comes with the software, which is like quote unquote game for the WonderSwan, and you put in the cartridge in your WonderSwan, and there is a way for you to link it up to the beetle or the WonderBorg and send the programs to it. So the music that we're playing today is directly from the software called RobotWorks. That's part of the WonderBorg experience. So it's a game in kind of air quotes, but it's a lot of fun to listen to the soundtrack.
So why don't we get into another track? We've got a couple here. The next one is from the training theme as you are programming your robot. I think that's where it plays, right?
Yeah. So there's obviously none of the tracks are labeled or anything like that, but we kind of went through the game or the
application,
the software. Yeah, the software itself. And I mean, it's a game. I mean, it is a game because there is the training mode where you can, try to make things happen and get scores. But this takes place during the training mode. So let's take a listen.
That was the training theme from the WonderSwan game or program, WonderBorg.
Yeah, this has a nice bounce to it. I like that. The use of sonar sound is really kind of reminiscent of everything that was big in the 90s when they thought about like technology. So I can see some of the like predecessor games or things that were utilizing those kind of computery sound effects, but a really cool track. It's short. It's like 40 seconds or something. So
yeah, I mean you're not on the screen for very long, but I really love that little like buzz that kind of goes across the stereo field. Like
yeah, it's really cool. That's really cool. I mean the WonderSwan too. Like I remember like I had a love-hate relationship with it only because I love the system. I adore it, but you had to get a special attachment to use the headphones. And so that was always kind of a turn off because I'd have to get that thing out and then bring it with me. But I did take that with me for a while. I carried it around.
Yeah. Well, do you want to jump into the next track?
Yeah, let's get into the next one.
This is the map theme, which plays when you're WonderBorg, your fake one. There's like a little programmable game inside of the game.
Think of it like a simulator, like the WonderBorg simulator inside of the game.
Exactly. So you don't have to wait to send your program over. You can see how it would work in kind of a simulated environment.
Yeah, it's basically training you to put in the commands and see it before you send it over, because who knows, like however long it took. I don't know. But this would give you kind of a hands-on, or you could practice when you're, dodging class or something. Anyways, this is the map theme. So let's take a listen. All right, that track plays during the training maps. It's one of the few that play there. This was a really great track. I mean, all these are very repetitive. They loop super fast, but there's some energy about it. I really like.
Yeah. No, it's very percussive, this whole soundtrack. But what I really love about this track specifically is there's a lot of these like ear tickles or ear candy, these little subtle changes that happen that are very satisfying, like a little percussive fill, or the rhythm will speed up just slightly in the little melodic parts. It's I don't know, there's more there than you would think just listening to it kind of passively.
There's more there than should be there.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
More than meets the eye, if you if you will. Different robots. Sorry.
Different robots. So this WonderBorg was produced in collaboration with Japan's Science and Technology Agency and Bandai. And it was originally released as an accessory for the WonderSwan, and then later came out, like we said, on Windows. And it was released in English-speaking countries too, outside of Asia. So, for example, here, I believe it was licensed by Tiger Electronics. It was originally designed as an education tool, and we talked about examples like the Lego Mindstorms and stuff like that. But originally, if you wanted to buy it, you could only get it through Bandai's website, and only about 1,000 units were sold through the website on launch. And then there was a few external retailers that had it on their sites as well. And that was on June 23rd of 2000.
Yeah, well, the information we could dig up was probably related to the original Japanese launch. I don't think there's as much information about the PC release in terms of like units available, but I can't imagine it was like a huge widespread thing. Like, I never saw a PC WonderBorg or RobotWorks or whatever it was called anywhere, and I was pretty aware of this kind of stuff back then.
Right, and it was essentially the exact same unit. They had a few different models actually for WonderBorg. So there were several that had like longer legs, and that way you could kind of collect them and like have them. It wasn't like robot battle, but because of their sensors, you could actually program them to behave in certain ways to where they would almost play like Game of Life or something like that, like amongst the robots.
Yeah, they were at least aware of each other. So the thing had, I think it was 7 sensors is what I was able to find. 2 in the antenna, 2 in the eyes with some infrared lights. And you had a floor sensor. What else was there? A light sensor, an internal clock, step sensor. I may have double spoken there, but it was basically somewhat aware of its position and could move around and adjust. So if it, kind of like a Roomba.
I was just going to say, I got one downstairs right now. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So it could like move forward, backwards. It could turn, it could spin in a circle. If it hit a wall, it could back up. You could program it to like go a certain number of steps and then do some other action, wiggle its antenna or something. I don't know. I mean, I love this kind of stuff.
Me too. I was like when I was playing with the training program, I was having so much fun just thinking like, oh man, if the interface was a little bit easier to navigate, like on PC, it would probably be a lot easier. But oh man, I would have had so much fun with this when I was a kid. And the fact that it has like the light sensor too, so you could have it go under a desk and it would behave differently than if it were on top of the desk or something. I love that. Yeah.
This I know that kids do still have stuff like. Have you heard of Scratch? For example,
the programming, the IDE for kids, where you can like kind of drag and drop.
Yeah, this might have been too early, but I know nowadays that sort of visual programming language has really taken off. But what was really cool about this is it used a similar kind of logic. So you would have like a visual programming language where it would say go X number of steps. So it did have conditionals, but you didn't have to like go in there and type lines of code. So nowadays that's super commonplace. I don't know that was a really common thing in the year 2000.
Well, that was one of their big selling points early on. I was looking at a blog, some Japanese blog from like about when the game came out, and they said, oh yeah, you can. There's even like if statement, like conditionals in there, and that was like a foreign concept for like toys. You know what I mean? Like so, it was a pretty cool little thing, and Bandai, they had such a great like lineup for toys and stuff already that this is perfectly in their wheelhouse, I think, to bring to the budding Japanese market.
Yep. There's a little bit more to talk about, but let's jump into another track before we do that.
Yeah, so we kind of went through the stuff. We don't actually have WonderBorg, so we couldn't actually do all of the cool stuff in the software. So we don't know exactly what the track names are called. Next one is track 6, and it plays somewhere in their software. So let's take a listen. That was track 6 from RobotWorks for the WonderBorg on the WonderSwan. Pretty sweet, dancey little track. I mean, all these, you spoke earlier about the percussion, and this one is just the percussion so clean, and those runs I just absolutely love. It's almost like a chaotic like robot circus.
Yeah. And this one in particular, I feel like has this kind of odd balance between being like serious and playful. Like maybe that's all of the WonderBorg tracks, but like it's not really something you hear together in VGM that much. So I thought it was kind of a nice touch. But one thing I definitely have to compliment, and one of the reasons why we picked this soundtrack, is everything just sounds like super clean and really nice. Like the use of stereo, the samples, like even just some of the melodic stuff. I mean, like, it's not a whole lot here. I mean, the whole soundtrack's like 12 minutes, but what they have is really well produced.
Exactly. There is a lot of care put into the music, which, I mean, to be honest, would be overlooked, I think, for the most part. There's not a lot of, I can't imagine a lot of kids popping in their headphones, as they're sitting there working on the program, or even sitting in the title screen, or, I think the one place where you'd probably get any music at all is on the maps. So I'm guessing that a lot of these other tracks that we couldn't find just happen in other map areas.
Most likely, yeah.
But the composer, whoever did this, put some serious thought into it, and that's always appreciated, and it shows, because we decided to do this game because it's just fun package.
So you're telling me there's not like a Japanese Dead Mouse WonderBorg remix out there right now? I mean, there could be.
You know what? That is entirely possible, actually.
Well, we're gonna find out. We're gonna search the internet. We're gonna dig it up. If it's there, we're gonna bring it straight to your ears. But not this episode.
Next remix is the Frisbee Ken John.
Oh yes. I wanted to bring this up because this is exclusive to the Japanese WonderSwan version. But because this is Bandai, they had like a pet mode similar to Tamagotchi, so you could like feed and scold your little WonderBorg. I don't know what those actions would actually do, but like it's there. You can access it from the menu, even if you don't have a robot. You can see the things that you can do with it. I forget what some of the options were. Do you remember all of them?
Yeah, there was trying to remember here. Feed.
Just load it up
spank.
Real quick.
Yeah,
was that really one of the options?
No. Let's see here. Yeah, pet mode. Oh, there's a call, and it's like a little heart. Threaten.
Whoa.
Yeah. Give food, scold, praise, and see flower. Not sure exactly what that is all about.
You know, I this is like a random one, but you remember that game for Super Nintendo, Wonder Project J? It's basically the same commands, you know, like there was like this weird trend of giving people programmable games as games for like a good 10 years. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what that was all about either. I know what you're talking about. Maybe it was just like, they were trying to get kids interested so they could build up an army of engineers in the future. And who knows?
I think it worked. Because here we are.
I was, we were sold on it. Anyways, let's get into our next track. This is track 7. Not sure exactly where it plays. Probably another training mode. So let's take a listen. We'll be right back.
That was track 7 from WonderBorg for the WonderSwan.
I don't know what it is, but this might be my favorite one just because, it's, again, these are all very simple tracks, but there's something just really cool about this one. It's got a very progressive, like a kind of techno, like do that, like over and over and over. But something really cool is going on with the fluttering scales, and then it goes through a few different iterations. Then it turns into this like I want to say it's like blossoming into a flower, and it just like goes in different directions. I really like that, and then it comes back down and starts it all over again.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely an exploration of sound more than music, and
exactly.
I love that bass tone. It's like slightly gritty, but like it's literally on like octaves.
It kind of has,
it's not doing anything interesting, but like, it right. sounds so good.
Yeah, it has like this really nice like hollow kind of crunch to it, and then it has this like these melodic tones kind of that sit on top, and I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And, the WonderSwan we talked about on like Buffer's Evolution. I know it's a really old show now, but what a great soundtrack. I mean, the WonderSwan really can do amazing stuff, and I wish that we actually got the opportunity, in the West to have this system and be able to play it and actually have competition with like the Game Boy and stuff.
Yeah, it's a really capable little system, and I really hope we come back to it a little bit more. But the whole point of this episode was just to do something a little short to kind of highlight something that probably, we could stretch this out for an hour, but there's no reason to. So
this better be a short episode.
Yeah, let's we can actually start winding it down. So unless you got anything else to add, do you want to do our little closeout for the show, Brian?
Yeah, sure. Today we covered WonderBorg for the WonderSwan.
Yeah,
and we talked about the robot works for the game cartridge that came with it, so you could program the thing. No, it looks like it was a great idea. I mean, this was this seemed kind of, I can't say ahead of its time. I think it's actually a little bit late. I would assume this came out like in like the late 90s. But I think like given like the way that you go about programming this and the audience, maybe around 2000 was a good idea. Couldn't find a composer, but again, maybe that's something that we'll run into. If anyone knows, please obviously let us know in the comments for this episode.
I'm going to say one last thing before we close out. I do have to credit the game for its simplicity, like being able to have a very, essentially a Game Boy, right? A WonderSwan, programming a robot that's pretty capable. That's super cool. And, I love this kind of stuff, and it could have been a lot more complex and unintuitive. So props to the team. Yeah.
It was kind of like a cool version of Rob, right?
Yes.
I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Anyways, if you want to know more about the show, you can check us out online at pixelatedaudio.com for show notes and the track list. We can also be found on Twitter at pixelatedaudio and our Discord, which the link is on the website.
If you want to leave comments or feedback, you can always check us out on our website or leave a review for us on iTunes, which is always much appreciated.
Excellent. Yeah, and if you're new to the show, they're usually a little bit longer than this, but we're trying to roll out a few shorter episodes. The reason why is because we're all jazzed up and we just want to do a bunch of short ones that we've been meaning to do. If you're new to the show, though, check some of our past stuff. We have a ton of stuff. We just did Waterworld, which was probably the best show you'll ever hear.
Quite literally the best VGM podcast that's ever been created. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Aqua Kitty, which was a lot of fun. Hover Racing and Airport CEO. So we have one last track taking out the show.
This is the map clear theme whenever you win one of those little fake robot maps. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you back for the next episode.